And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play my opponent. If he likes to attack, I force him to defend himself. If he's a cautious man, I draw him into dangerous water. See, you get so frustrated playing defensive positions, you make stupid moves you never make if you were thinking. When you come here, boy, check that shit at the door,
I'm at the top of my game, cut the check. Somebody better king me, I'm the best. Let's play a game of checkers. Better yet, the game don't love nobody. Let's play chess.
I keep forgetting when I'm in love anymore. I keep forgetting.
All right. Here we go. Episode 20 with my guest, Roderick Threats, founder of Black Patriot Media Group, Thunderstrike, and Pluvius Journal, fellow intellectual and student of history. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. You know, trying to get out those hedge clippers and cut these weeds down out here and get down to the truth, right?
Yep. So this week we had some interesting things. I know this weekend you talked about HR 1. We have a whole bunch of executive orders that the most executive orders ever in history by any president within the first week or first month, or to be honest, I think we're on pace to set the record for the first year within the first 30 days of being in office. So, coming from the candidate that said that they're presiding as president by executive order, legislating by executive order is akin to dictatorship. I got nothing.
Executive fiat's a beer, man. I mean, how can you? I can't even. I can't comment, bro. I don't have anything either.
Yeah, it's weird. I expected the left to realize where they screwed up in the last election as far as getting their agenda going and, try to ram through as much as they possibly could in a short amount of time. So that's not unexpected, but at the same time, I did not expect it to be like 40 within the first 30 days. That's insane.
I don't know where they got the ink from.
Yeah.
I don't know where he got all that ink from and all that paper. I mean, we talking about climate, you know what I mean? And you chopping down all these trees to write these executive orders. I mean, I could have seen if he did it via DocuSign or something, but nah, Cat got paper and those little blue books that's got wood backing in them. Yeah, he just chopping down trees to write down executive orders talking about climate change. Come on, man.
Oh man, I didn't expect it. Honestly, I didn't expect it to go there. At least not this fast. But it did, and now we're here, and we're seeing what's going on with this new administration. I made a joke calling in, or I posted a joke online earlier. My whole statement was, all right, so we spent 4 years holding Donald Trump accountable, calling him out on his bull whenever he got into it. And I know many other of the black conservatives feel the same way. When we were calling out Trump and we were calling out the Republicans, we had cheerleaders from the left that were like, yeah, call him out. And then as soon as we say something about Biden, which I almost never say anything about Democrats because it doesn't contribute to me trying to solve anything. Like I stay away from the language and the speeches, and so said, oh my God, did you hear what crazy thing Ilhan Omar and AOC said? And I'm like, I don't care, because that doesn't solve anything. They're going to be crazy, and the more, I don't want to give them any more airtime than they deserve, than they require. But we're seeing a lot of people on the left, all of a sudden they got some boot flavored lollipops as soon as Biden got elected, because there are people over here calling him out. And I'm like, y'all had no problem calling out Trump. We said flat out that we were going to call it down the line. Now y'all are pissed that we were calling out both of them. Like, if you saw us calling out Trump, you should have no problem with us calling out Biden, because we're being completely honest about it.
Right.
But apparently people do. So,
it goes back to that whole team sport thing, right?
Yeah.
And you've heard me talk about it before. America's not a team sport. America's built on individualism, right? And we got to hold all these individual representatives accountable for the things that they do from the bottom up. And if you're going to get people going to get mad because you holding them to account for something that they do that is pretty screwed up or not really particularly normal, then you're playing a team sport. Maybe these people need to bow out the game, because it's apparent that their allegiances is with a color or party than to America and what America was based and founded on, right? We have to, I don't think there's going to ever be a solution to get us back there, because and I hate saying this, but it's the truth. We're so far gone, removed from that. We have to save right now any semblance of America at this point in time, to try to build on and build it. Just like Biden said, build back better. We need to build back better with our conservative principles and pushing conservative governance to get back to where we need to be.
Yeah. I'm happy that some of the people from this movement and stuff, like Maj Toure, are going to make the stage at CPAC. I think we need a whole lot more. I don't think it's enough that it's really going to change the game. And I think it would be very productive for them to have people like you, people like Felicia Killings and Sonny Johnson and the like on, because you just getting a completely different style of conservatism and a completely different message. And I think I'd like to say our message is more productive, because it's focused on actually solving problems and not getting caught up in the political grift of trying to get reelected.
That's exactly it, and that's why I have again, you mentioned Thunderstrike in my intro there, right? That's one of the main purposes of Thunderstrike. We gotta primary these people to hold them to account for what they've done while they have served, because if we don't do that, then they continue again with the political grift, right? They continue on thinking, oh well, no one's challenging me, so I guess I'm doing okay. No. I don't care if you're I don't care if you're the most conservative person in either chamber of Congress. You still need to be primary to pull you to the carpet for the things you have or have not done for your constituency, right? And we do that, that political grift goes away. The team sport goes away, and then becomes about America again. It becomes about the individualism of America that makes this melting pot, right? Because the one of the biggest things
Makes this melting pot
is the fact that this melting pot has not had any fire to it for a couple decades. Everybody's just so segregated in their own little corner of the cauldron, and don't want to intermingle, mix, and help create solutions to the issues we have. We need to put that fire to that melting pot and bring us back together again.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, it saddens me when I mention this in conservative circles. I I'm not against people being on Clout Hub and Rumble and Gab and all the other platforms and stuff, but I do want people to stay here and engage, because if we don't engage where the conversations are happening and we all start to stand in our own little echo chambers, we're going to get to the point where we start to snipe the most moderate voices within our own echo chambers until all you got left is radicalism.
Yep.
And that is where I see us. We have started to do this where I get my news over here and you get your news over there, and we immediately dismiss what you're saying or what you're saying based on a brand that of where you get your news from or the color that you're repping. And I think that puts us in a place where we're immediately discounting information that we haven't even bothered to look at yet. I spend just as much time trying to get my information from the left as I do from the right, because I know that this information is filtered through the perspective of the person trying to give it to me.
That's right. That's right. I talked about this the other day about the fairness doctrine and how they've literally, the media, both sides have literally thrown that out of the window, all in favor of pushing, obviously, a particular narrative of some type. Instead of just reporting the news, this is what happened. So-and-so did this, and then did this, and then this happened. Boom, that's it. The opinion host, different story. That's a whole different ball of wax. But it's more on the lines of the media are opting for opinion hosts and writers than actual reporting the news.
Yeah.
And that's when
intellectual honesty is dead.
Dead, man. It's already under the ground, down to the core, and out the other side of the planet, man. What you talking about? They don't even know. They can't even find it no more. They threw it so far away, you know?
Yeah, they beat that horse dead and made steaks out of it and everything. It's the lack of intellectual honesty. There's two ways to get intellectual honesty. I mean, you can overtly admit your bias and allow people to discount what you say based on your explicit bias, or you can be so down the line dispassionate about what you're reporting that people can't even tell what side of the aisle that you're on. They can't tell idealistically where you land. Right. And that used to be the old standard. I think the new standard is going to be admitting your bias straightforward out the gate. And I think that helps, because I'm like, hey, I'm a conservative. Take what it is as it is. Take what I say as you will. And that's all I got for you, because I'm not going to say I'm not a conservative. I do like to think that I can call it down the line, have my biases, but there are things that are successful and things that are unsuccessful. There are things that are conservative and things that are not conservative. Politicians do good things, say good things, and they also say bad things and do bad things. So
exactly, it's all part of being human.
Yeah, the fanboy politics got us into this area where we can't apply criticism properly.
Right, or equally apply principle. I mean, you know, I'm always on the train with people, because I really don't get down and start debating the other side on a lot of these issues, because I know the intellectual dishonesty and them not applying their principle the other way is not going to work. I know they're automatically operating off of flawed logic. A lot of them on the other side, right? And it's like, if you can apply it here, then you can't. You know what I mean? Then your whole bubble is nothing but rubbish.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly where it is, and they get mad when you equally apply their principle back to them. Like, well, no.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. If it makes you mad, it doesn't work. Or you're just afraid of the truth. Because 9 times out of 10, when you equally apply across the board, you should come to the same result, or have the same venom, the same fervor for whatever it is you're passionate about. But if you just think it should be just, My person can only do this. Yeah, you need to get out the game real quick. You have to get out the game completely.
Yeah, that seems to be where we are right now, where people cannot apply it principally across the board. And like like I said, I'm a conservative, you're a conservative, uh, and we are supposed to call balls and strikes. So let's call some balls and strikes. HR 1. Give me your thoughts.
Um, One, it violates the Constitution flat out.
Yeah.
I mean, the freedom of assembly. Where we're talking about the government taking intellectual property from voting machine makers in the United States. We're talking about people wanting to donate, let's say, donate to you, but then they turn around and say, no, you can't donate to him. We'll take this money and we'll pull it out to whoever we see fit. We want to redistribute the wealth, right?
Yeah.
Complete violation of the Constitution. And it really, it's a violation of basic individual rights in America. It's a violation of civil rights in America. When you got the government to a point trying to steer a federal election in lieu of the 10th Amendment, right, in lieu of the 12th Amendment, I think we have a problem. But not a lot of people see it that way because they think, oh, well, it's going to be, because they labeled it anti-campaign corruption. And it's like, you are the corruption. You will create the corruption by redistributing the money. How do you not see this, people?
Yeah.
So it's a complete strikeout. Just on constitutional principle, it's a strikeout.
Yeah. Yeah, I see the same thing. I mean, taking over federal elections, or taking over elections, that's a violation of 10th Amendment. It's like they tried to fit a violation of every single amendment that we have in the Bill of Rights into a single bill and then passed it. And I'm worried because we have a lot of Republicans in Congress that care more about re-election than they do about actually sticking to their principles and delivering for their voters.
Right.
As we saw in this last election. So, and like you said, this weekend, we got 469 seats up for re-election, and we got to take them all.
That's right.
Otherwise, I mean, if we go a full 4 years of this, or they're able to gain another couple seats in the Senate and the House and get it to the point where we don't even have to talk to each other, it's done. The gloves are off. It's over. And I don't want that to happen because I think our government works best when it's divided, when we actually have to talk to each other and we have to come to understandings.
But
I mean, I would like it to not be the cronies that are coming to understandings while the rest of us sit here and complain. I would like that we get rid of all the cronies. Honestly, I would rather negotiate with AOC and the Marxists and the far, far left than the cronies in my own party, because I at least know where that far leftist that's honest about their far left ideology, I at least know where they stand. Whereas that crony will smile in my face and stab me in the back. The Marxists will stab me in the chest. That's fine, and I know that. That's kind of like, I am less scared of the Klansman walking down the street than I am of the dude who's a backroom racist.
Right. That's exactly right. I mean,
yeah,
it's the whole thing with them, with the seats, right? And I understand, House divided, more conversation, but really, I'm going to be honest. Like, if we don't get a veto-proof majority in 2022, it is a done deal. I mean, we have to go complete balls to the wall on this and get veto-proof majority in both chambers to, to restore it. And I know the big thing is, well, the undo of what the previous president did. Well, we need to undo the last 40 years. Really,
Yeah.
if you really think about it, we got to undo the last 40 years because the establishment on both sides, it's the establishment that has created this noise. And all these new people coming in are just jumping right into the establishment cauldron. And they're saying,
Yeah.
oh, I want to fit in. Hey, look, I want to fit in. Hey, I want to fit in. Hey, what can I do for you? Can I wash your feet? You know, and
Yep.
that's where we are. So, I mean, we need to get some true citizens, true conservatives, not none of these establishment types or people that got political tenure. We need to get people in both chambers like the framers intended, the common Joe, to steer this
Yeah.
ship the correct way and kick out these establishment elites, these establishment wannabes, and
Yeah,
right this ship.
we need to rebuild. I mean, we got a lot of work to get done because this next election is coming up fast. CPAC's in a couple weeks. And I'm worried because I think at this point it seems like CPAC is doing the same thing that they always do. They'll put a couple of new voices, but what they're going to really put up there are a whole lot of really energetic grifters.
Right.
Really energetic grifters. They say one thing and they do another, or they've repackaged the same old message and talking points in a brand new and wrapped it up with a brand new bow.
Right.
And that is not what we need right now. We need something new. We need something that attaches to how people actually feel about these things.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to reach out to all the demographics that we normally ignore. We need to reach out to young voters. We need to reach out to the LGBTQ alphabet LMNOP community. We need to reach out to the Black and Hispanic community. And our Hispanic outreach was actually successful this time.
Yes.
So we need to see how we did it with that community. We need to do the same, use the same methods to reach both the Black community and the LGBT community, etc., and young voters, because I know the Hispanic community got policy and they got solutions, and that swung the weight in favor of Donald Trump. And a report just came out today that 750,000 voters from 750,000 voters from Georgia didn't vote in the runoff, in the Senate runoffs. They voted in the general, but yeah. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to thank Lynn Wood for your unsound advice and your magical griftery, because we could have actually won Georgia, 750,000 in a state where the margin of victory was, if I remember correctly, less than 50,000.
Yep, less than 50. Yep, for both races. Yep.
And so I'm saying, well, wait a minute. So 750,000 didn't show up to vote, and all in rural communities. That is insane. That is insane. You convinced people to get wrapped up in their own victimhood. We're conservatives. We don't do victimhood.
We're not supposed to.
We're the pull ourselves up by the bootstraps people. So how the hell do we get caught in our own victimhood right now? And now we're whining, and we sound like exactly what we accused the left of, being a whole bunch of snowflakes and stuff.
Well, you know what happened, right? It's the whole, see, the populist movement. Actually, the populist movement itself actually did this because, the other side we've known for a long time have been collectivist, and conservatives by nature, right, are not collectivists, right? We're just, we do our thing and we agree on things. We'll come together if we have to. But Trump and his populism right?
Yeah.
Created a collectivist movement on the right. So now
Yeah.
all these
Groupthink.
people, right? All these people are thinking the same, right? And I guarantee you, those 700, let's just say 750,000 people that didn't vote in Georgia, right? I wonder how many people are like that in other states that are, you know what I mean, that are in that collectivist mode, right? Put themselves in those boxes to be targeted, and we've seen that, right? We've seen that with January 6th. Oh, look, all the Trump supporters are domestic terrorists now
Yeah.
because they decided to put themselves in that box instead of trying to be an individual and calling it out
Hmm.
on calling things out on principle, etc.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah. Sonny Johnson said that be careful what you cheer on when they label Antifa as domestic terrorists, because they will use that exact same tactic on
Yep,
us.
yep, and they
And
did.
I think, yeah, and too many conservatives have ignored the idea of precedents. When you set the precedents, do not set any precedents you are not prepared to be used against you.
That's right. See,
And
and
that's what we are right now. We keep
that
getting our own moves used against us.
right, and that's, and again, that's the problem with the left right paradigm, right? Because we know folks on the right, we love law enforcement. We love the rule of law. We love law and order because that's what keeps a society just, and we build
Yeah.
it up, right? Even including the military, right?
Yeah.
Look what the left does every time they get in control, right? They've turned the military against the people, right? They have the National Mall literally fenced off right now with 7,000 National Guard troops around it, right? They take they take the police, right? Or let me even say police. They take the gun of the government that we have built up and point it right back at us. And they come with full force with it every single time. And we got to get to a point where we have to stop contributing to the statism. We have to stop, conservatives as in general have to stop contributing to the statism, right? So the
Yeah.
left can't use it against us, because at the end of the day, right? And people are going to get kind of upset when I say this, but when it comes to your progressives, your liberals on the left, and your progressives and your conservatives on the right, it's a state of mind. It's about statism. And
Yeah.
whoever gets power will take that gun and point it at you. And the left is more notorious for taking that gun and pointing it at people. I mean, need I remind people about the Tea Party, right? What the IRS did with the Tea Party, right? Let's remind them what just happened on January 6th. They took
Yeah.
taking a gun in the government and pointing it at all Trump supporters as their domestic terrorists. Not mentioning the other folks that were involved, just folks on the right only, right? So we set that precedent. We set that precedent, and see, and really to dissolve that. See, here's where the right and the left can get together. This is where conservatives and BLM can really get together, because BLM's
Hmm.
whole thing is, well, the police, they act out of line, this, that, and the third. Us conservatives, we agree with that. Some of them, there's some bad apples
Yeah.
we need to get rid of. We can come together on that message and be like, hey, because, I mean, really, theoretically speaking, I mean, it is a civil right issue at that
It
point,
is.
right? When you have bad cops doing wrong things, we can come together on that. But we're so polarized, and folks on the
Yeah.
right are so, or quote unquote white supremacists, and we shouldn't deal with you guys. We can do this on our own. Nothing
Yeah.
in police reform or law enforcement reform or anything like that will never happen, because you only
Yeah.
have a small microcosm of people over here, and us folks on the right are like, we cool with that. Like, let's talk about how to fix that problem instead of you trying to do it on your own,
Exactly.
fall flat on your face. Then when you fall flat on your face, they won't listen to anyone else because you
Yep.
came half-assed, you came half-cocked.
Now,
You
I'll
know?
say two factors drive that policing issue. Everyone wants to look at cops as just cops solely because And the politicians are perfectly happy to, and the media are perfectly happy to aid us in this, because then policies never have to get put into question.
Right.
But policies that drive unnecessary interaction between the police and the citizenry, and I want every conservative, I keep reiterating this, government agencies and institutions are not inherently conservative. Our solution for everything is private. I'm not saying they're not necessary. I'm not an anarchist, but I am saying that they are not inherently conservative. They are vestiges of the state. They are a form of statism. And we on the right, we love the individuals that wear the uniform. I myself wore the uniform. We love individuals that wear the uniform. We respect the job that they do. We admire them. And we admire them to the point where we build up the institution that they represent, instead of applying a proper amount of criticism to both bad individuals as individuals and the institution for protecting bad individuals.
Right.
But we also need to be assigning blame at the policymaker that creates policies that give cops unilateral decision making in their enforcement of laws that are unnecessary and infringe upon the daily lives of the citizenry. When you have this and a cop has to unnecessarily engage with the citizen, that dude that got pulled over, that finally pulled a gun on the cop, how many times in the last month did he get pulled over? Was it for dumb shit? Was it because the cop saw him drinking a 64-ounce soda in his car? Was it because he had a plastic straw and the cop saw it? Was it because he was jaywalking? Did he get a $1,000 ticket because his taillight was out, instead of hey bro, your taillight's broken, you should go get that fixed?
Right.
Like, did he get something like that? And now, after like the 9th, 10th time, I'm not advocating for breaking the law. The law is a law and it needs to be followed until it's changed.
Right.
And if they're unwilling to change it, then you march and you organize and so on and so forth. But all of that going on, this guy gets pulled over. Then finally he gets to the point where he's like, you know what, I'm fed up with this. How many laws forced a cop to interact with that individual to the point where now he's so pissed off that he's going to turn on the cop? And that goes back to petty shit like possession or under the influence. If you're not, I mean, I get under the influence while driving. I'm not going to advocate for that. I'm strictly against that. But if you're in your home smoking a blunt sitting on your couch, I don't care. If you got weed in your pocket, I don't understand how that is an interest of the state.
Right.
If you and another woman want to have a monetary transaction for certain lewd exercise moves, some lewd yoga, I don't care. You want to do naked yoga with Fabio? I don't care. You want a cabana boy to come to your hotel room? That's all good. You're consenting adults. As long as there's no force involved, the state should have no issue with that. But we get into the point where we start to legislate our morality, and everybody's got their own brand of morality. Yep. Half the laws in this damn country were made by some damn Karen, and it's Karen of any race that woke up one day and goes, oh, damn, I don't like that. That should be a law. No, it shouldn't be a law. You should get over it, or you should organize as a community member to change the culture in your community. You should be bringing it up at town hall. Hey, guys, maybe we shouldn't do this. It shouldn't be illegal. We shouldn't be putting people in jail for it. But, hey, you know, maybe we could start a community watch to, like, pick up litter on the side of the road. You don't need to charge somebody $1,500 because they dropped a cigarette butt.
Right.
And that's what people say when they mean police state. And that has led us to where does this happen primarily? In areas where there is a lot of people and a lot of lawlessness.
Yeah.
Where where there's a lot of people, there's a lot more regulations required for those people to live together on top of each other. Where that happens, you get a lot more lawlessness because you get more people breaking laws that they don't even know are laws.
Right. Right.
In addition to purposely breaking laws because they just don't care, because they shouldn't be laws in the first place. So, like one of the disparities, racial disparities in policing is driven by the fact that you get a more conservative form of policing in the suburbs and in rural areas than you do in cities.
That's correct.
And I mean, that includes metropolitan area, not just inner cities, but
Right.
metropolitan area as a whole. And then you get further more strict. There's this idea that police forces have that, oh man, there's violence. We need to make more laws because that will stop the violence. Did the absence of laws cause the violence?
Right.
Is that what made people like, damn, you didn't have a law that said don't go rob a jewelry store, so some dude walked in and robbed a jewelry store? Or maybe it's lawless individuals don't care about the law, period, and we should start looking at the roots of crime. And the roots of crime have always been education, fathers in the homes, economic opportunity. So if we give people jobs, we stop locking people up, people have good education. I'll just put it like this. If your daddy has a job, he stays in a home because he can support the family. Children
Right.
grow up with a daddy. They get a better education because you have two parents involved.
Right.
Those two parents involved raise you to the point where you go out and you learn by example, so you repeat the same thing. As you do that, you're building wealth, because two parents can build wealth twice as fast as one parent can. So you're
Right.
building wealth, you're investing in your community, and you're building up your community so you don't get gentrified out of it.
Right. That's right. And-
It's a cyclic thing.
yeah, you know the thing is too though. Even now, with the shift, with the family unit. I mean, yeah, granted, there's a lot of single mothers out there, right? But what people always want to point out is that, well, look at the black community, because uh the fathers aren't in the home. That's why they run around and sell drugs all the time, and they're never in the home. And I have to explain to people, I said, just because the father's not in the home does not make the father not involved.
Yeah.
Right? That's a key people seem to forget, and we see it now with these young black conservatives that come from single parent households, but the father was there, or vice versa, the mother was there to help them foster their life along. And we're seeing that contrast now in these young black conservatives that are coming out, and the folks on the other side are pretty ticked about that, because throughout history we have always, as a black community, figured it out. We have figured out what we need to do. Yes, there's always that lapse of, what do we do? It could be a year, it could be a decade. Then when it clicks, the next generation or two reaps the benefits. And we're seeing that now, right? These kids that are coming up that are 20, 25, even 30 years old, or just a generation behind, a generation in front of me, right? They're the Gen Zers, the black Gen Zers. They're getting it. They're like, oh, well, snap. You know what I mean? And they learn what they need from the day. And even with that, too, those same Gen Zers probably grew up in neighborhoods where you had OGs that was teaching the ropes along with their parents. Like, we're not talking about the dope dealing. We're talking like the real OGs. You know what I'm talking about. That'll tell you to pull your pants up, boy, before you go in that store, or what have you, right? Those kind of OGs, right? They have the last of that, and they have us Gen Xers to look at, for that guidance. And that's why they have been comfortable coming out and saying, hey, I'm a black conservative.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason why we should be using the same old talking points recycled from the 1980s. I mean, The fathers not being in the homes, that is literally the same talking point I grew up with my whole life, and I saw a lot more fathers in homes than matches the statistic. Or you know what? I saw a lot more in homes than matches the statistic, but I also saw a lot more engaged in their children's lives.
Right.
So, how do you define fathers not in? Do you define as fathers not living with the mother of their child and their children, which I'm just going to say economically, it's the better choice. Economically, it's a better choice as far as pulling your resources. If y'all can make it without killing each other, live in the same home, do it. Suck it up for your kids. But at the same time, you have a lot of dads that didn't live. My parents are divorced. Since we came back over from England, my parents have been divorced. My dad's been in my life the whole damn time. Sacrificed great jobs to be in my life.
Right.
Like it always had me, was there for games, was there for always there, still there now. If I needed help, my dad would go through hell or high water. If I needed to call him when I was overseas, my dad would have found a way to swim there to be at my side. And I see a lot of dads in the Black community that are like that. So that talking point, we base all of our talking points based on the lowest economic class of Black people.
Right.
And I think that's wrong. I think it leads us to faulty conclusions, as if Black people are lazy and don't want to work. This isn't the crack epidemic anymore. And it's not the 1970s anymore when the gang wars were going on in New York City. It's not that time anymore. So we need to start living in the here and now. You got a lot of Black people who are getting their comeuppance, and they're doing good. They got good jobs. They're raising their children. They may not live in the same home, but they're raising good, responsible families that are going on to repeat that cycle. We're trying to build wealth. You got the second generation since officially, we're at the end of the second generation, 30-year cycles. We're getting towards the end of the second generation since civil rights. And we're building generational wealth. I think we're the sixth. If you were to pool the entire Black community together, we're the sixth wealthiest nation on the planet.
Yep, that is correct.
And that's only with I'll say the flowers that break through the concrete.
Right. That's right.
So
That's exactly
imagine what we could do if we just deregulated and removed the concrete.
Yeah.
We got into this bad habit where we, as conservatives, we run on fixing issues and calling out the issues within the Black community, and within minority communities, and we blame it on culture and everything. We don't provide any solutions, but then at the same time, when the Black community describes those issues as systemic racism, we go, no, doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Your problems aren't real problems, because in Podunk, Alabama, I don't deal with those. I don't deal with those issues.
Right.
Like I talk to cops all the time, and my cop, I mean, we have 2 cops in my town, and they're my best friends. I don't have those issues, so we immediately discount each other, and I think that's a negative thing, because we're taking each other out.
Yes.
We're sniping at each other when we should be allies. We're all airing our grievances against the state, and we're taking each other out. We're taking pop shots at our own team. Mm-hmm. We, the people, are the team. We can work together to fix the problem, which is the establishment, which is the only bipartisan thing in DC, is the establishment. And it's not just in one party.
It's not even bipartisan. See, the biggest thing, right? And you touched on it, is the culture, right? Because going back to the family structure, and if we look at white America, right? A lot of those families, like you said, they stayed together, regardless, until the kids were grown. Then they divorced and they rolled out, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the things and this is just an opinion of mine, just looking at, well, looking at data and things that people have said to me over the years, is that it was a plan on purpose to force, you know what I mean, the fathers out by default because they couldn't get rid of them at the turn of the century. So they devised this plan later, right, to force either parent out of the home. You know what I mean? Because there's mothers that's forced out of the home too. Not very few black men were single fathers. Not like now.
Yeah.
But those families stayed together, right? That was part of the American culture. We know we had an obligation to our family, to our children, regardless if we didn't get along with the wife or the husband or the boyfriend or the girlfriend or whatever title you want it to be. But they stayed anyway till the kids were at least 18, right? And and the couple did what they did. If they were getting along, they were doing their thing, but and the kids didn't know what they were doing, whatever, but they were still in the home. Right. But then again, the government steps in and says, no, you need complete removal. Right.
Yep.
You need complete removal.
I'm right there with you.
You're right. You need complete removal from the home. They can't be on anything. They can't be living there whole 9 yards. And then come around, turn the 80s, the mid 80s, right? I was in 80s, 90s, I'm sorry, early 90s. We were like, wait a minute. I need to get involved in my kid's life. And then the child support system, right?
Yeah.
The child support system, and as flawed as it is a blessing in disguise. They did America a favor because it forced people to stay in the family unit or they'd be paying astronomical money to live outside of the family unit for their children. So the child support system did a good thing. It's abused, yes, but that's a whole nother show, whole nother topic, whole 9 yards. But it forced the people to stay in the home, longer or through to the end, or be involved in a child's life, even if they didn't live together, right?
Yeah.
And again, we're seeing the product of that now. And people being scared of the gun of the state to come take their driver's license away, which would take away their livelihood, right? And they have nothing. And then they go to jail for not paying child support. People don't want to go down that road or the separate. So they're going to do what they can to stay a family unit, but can still live apart if that's the case. Or, again, live in the same household to help raise those children.
The trick is, if you make it easy for people to follow the law and do the right thing, they will do the right thing. Mm-hmm. If you step in their way and you make it hard for them to do that, they will. They'll do the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you put a wall in between me and making the right decision, you have guaranteed I will make the wrong decision.
Every single time.
Yeah. Stop taking responsibility away from the average everyday citizen. All you're going to get is more irresponsibility. My parents are both divorced. They stayed together, or they didn't stay together, and I have an agreement with my wife. My parents are both involved in my life. My wife doesn't have that issue. Both her parents have been married since high school. They're high school sweethearts, like the white picket fence dream and everything. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I was like, look, you may hate me. You may hate me. I don't believe in divorce, but if you ever decide that you just can't put up with me anymore and it's done and you're over with, okay. But you have to stay here until the kids are out of the house.
Right.
We have to make this work until the kids are out of the house. You can have your own man. I don't care. But for the kids, we sacrifice ourselves to make them better, because you only get one shot at raising your kids.
That's right.
And once they leave your house, they walk into a world that don't give a shit about them.
Yep.
It's like that Chris Rock scene, or that Chris Rock comedy skit. When you walk out of this house, nobody gives a fuck about you. Nobody. Not your teacher, not your employer, not the taxi cab driver, not the cop, not the judge, not the especially not the government.
Right.
And some of the people in the house are a little iffy, still on the fence. It was one when he said it, I laughed, and at the same time, I was like, "Damn, ain't that the truth?" The world don't give a damn about you, and if you don't raise your kids to be strong, they're going to be weak.
Yep. But
And
even with that
weakness
too,
creates more weakness.
right? And even with that, they've created laws, right, that legislate that exact morality.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why? Really, in essence, why do we need CPS? Because of the laws they have written that if you don't follow this type of morality, we're coming to get you churned.
Yeah.
Right? Talking about increasing the state. Right?
Yeah. Oh,
Now,
that just gets me into that whole what's that executive order? They're trying to pass the Equal Rights
Amendment. Yeah. It was
yes,
House
the
Resolution
Equal Rights
14.
Amendment.
Yep.
Yes, I read it and I was like, oh my Lord, they're literally every special thing that you thought you had as a woman, gone.
Well,
Every special exception, every recognition that you are even a woman, gone.
Yep. Yep.
Watch your daughter practice MMA and she ends up having to friggin' go against a dude. Watch her get dunked on in friggin' basketball in school because I can walk in with a beard and basketball shorts, identify as a dude for a day, and dunk on your daughter. That is wrong.
Yep. Even more, it's breaking the constitutional morality here, right? Because I mean, the Equal Protection Clause that say all persons. I don't care if you trans, whatever you feel like being that day. All persons deserve life, liberty, and property.
Exactly.
You deserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What is not equal about the Equal Protection Clause? Like, they can't make it make sense to me with this. Now on top of, if this Equal Rights Amendment, if they overturn the ratification time period, would subvert all 75,000 plus laws that are in favor of women in the workplace, or wherever, will be null and void. Be null and void. All the work these people, people like Marie Antoinette, not Marie Antoinette, God, I don't know why she's only Susan B. Anthony, and the suffragettes, right? All that work they put in to get women on the head. It even null and void the 19th Amendment. If you want to be technical too, right?
And I have yet to meet a person that's read it. Have yet to meet a person that actually knows what's in it. The people champion it don't know. They're like, oh well, equal rights. That sounds great. Let's do that. I want equal rights. We all want equal rights. This is what Congress does. They take a great title and they fill it with a whole bunch of shit. It's like it's a gift box of shit. And they put it on your doorstep and you go, oh yay, look, a gift. And then they light it on fire.
Gaslight. right. Not flashlight, gaslight.
That's not even and that's not even that's not even a Democrat thing. Republicans do that shit too. Everybody in Washington plays that game. That's why they'll have a sentence, like a whole sentence long name for a bill, but when you break it down to the acronym, it's like HEROES Act. All right. Did I get superpowers? Did I get a cape? Did you actually fix any of my problems? No, but you passed like 3,000 pages of ridiculousness and handouts to your buddies.
Right.
Or like,
read this in 36 hours.
Yeah, the CARES Act. Don't worry, it took 9 months to pass because we don't really care. Because we were too busy arguing about making sure that our buddies all benefit from this bill. I was willing. I was like, look, hey man, it's a pandemic. You just locked everyone down. Everyone's trying not to die. You took money out of my pocket by locking the country down. it behooves you to put that money back in my pocket.
Right.
I was okay with that. I was okay with overturning the to be honest, I wish it would be permanent. The payroll tax and all that stuff, that seemed good. I was like, man, yeah, that'll get us going here. We might be able to survive this. And then they're like, oh, well, we want to make sure these people get money and these people get money and these people get money. Mm-hmm. No! Why'd you put foreign aid in it? Screw them.
Right.
I am a nationalist. I want American citizens to be free and taken care of. Like, right. Even if I don't like you, I want food in your belly. I want a roof over your head. I want clothes on your back and shoes on your feet. Before we start to give anything to anybody else, and I fail to see anywhere in the Constitution where it allows them to tax us to give to somebody else.
This is why.
Why are we making dinner for people elsewhere before we have the dinner table set for our own families?
That's right. That's why we need to get rid of USAID, and we need to get rid of the Council on Foreign Relations. We need to get rid of all of that because that they're the driver. They're the driver of all of that. Well, Pakistan, they're dealing, even though they're part Muslim and part Sikh and whatever, and guys, they're dealing with like this homophobic situation, and you got a lot of people really want to just cram down on them. So we need to send $10 million to them for gender studies. Like, what?
They like, oh man, they just stoned a gay guy in the street in Pakistan. We need to give them $500 million to help spread awareness. Newsflash, they don't care.
Oh, let me add
to
that.
They don't care. And you're giving money to the government, not to the people. You're giving money to the government, not to private organizations. And as corrupt as our government is, if you think these third world countries' governments are less corrupt, you're out of your damn mind.
Hey,
they are honest about the fact that they
majority of these countries in these underdeveloped nations are almost literally third world juntas. You know what I mean? Like it. I mean, it is what it is. I think the only really they're technically even decent government it would be Saudi Arabia or UAE or you know what I mean. India.
And they still have slavery.
Yeah, they still have slavery.
No one talks about that. They still have sex slaves in UAE.
Yep.
So
I remember when I was in Dubai, man. I remember they just parade them right on around the street. You're like, what? You kidding me right now, right? They're like, nah, that's how they do. I'm like, well, get your hustle on, pimp. I don't want no part of that.
no part of that. And the crazy thing is, like, we strike so many contrary positions on things in this country. We're for equal rights and we're for this. I don't see a single one of the people that were shucking and jiving for equal rights or corporate entities saying the same shit to China. China's literally doing everything the Nazis did. Literally everything. I mean, when even what's his name? I can't remember the shit. I can't remember his name. Biden's trade secretary or Secretary of State. He said he agreed with. Yes, that's it. Blinken.
Yeah, Blinken.
That's it. Yeah, he said he agrees with Pompeo that China is committing genocide against Uyghur Muslims, and I'm like, is anybody? So concentration camps, Marxism, imperialism, because they're taking over Thailand and Hong Kong and islands in the South China Sea and trying to retake their ports and shit. They're threatening other countries and stuff. They're colonizing Africa by economic means.
They just threatened us the other day.
Us. Yeah. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, they're literally doing everything that Hitler did, and y'all are saying nothing, not a damn thing. And I'm watching Republicans only say it to other Republicans, like, man, you need to elect me because China is corrupt. You see what they're doing over there? Hey, China, you got another check for me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my Lord, can y'all stay? Can y'all stop? Like, you know what? Republicans' balls must really hurt from sitting on that fence for so damn long. That's all I can think is like, damn, you sat on the fence for so damn long. You must have permanent marks there.
Something grill marks. Freaking, they got grill marks. They sitting on that grill sizzling like Joel Foreman. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I mean, it's we're at a point, right? And even though FDR was a Nazi sympathizer, he even recognized it was coming. Nobody in America could give a damn about that. Oh, the usurper in chief, because I don't even call his name. But the usurper in chief, that's the current occupant of the White House right now. It thinks he's just gonna step into another country's business.
Yeah.
And what they doing, right? And it just so happened. Oh, they found out they had a corrupt election. No, you can't do it, man. Stay out of grown folk business, child. Huh? Isn't that what our parents used to tell us? Keep your mouth out of grown folk business. Let them do what they do. And they couldn't even get the country right. They called it Burma. It's Myanmar. Like, you can't even get the damn thing right. But you want to put your nose in other
we
people's
have
business.
a candidate that supported every foreign war and was reconstruction project that we could possibly imagine. Like,
Yes.
hey man, we need to blow the hell out of that country, and then we need to rebuild it. How long is it going? All right, it took us 5 minutes to bomb the shit out of them. How long is it going to take to rebuild it? 20 years. Like, shit, we're still rebuilding shit. We're still sending foreign aid to places like France and Germany. I don't care if they're allies or not. They're first world countries. You don't need foreign aid. You're a first world country. Your economic problems are your own. You created that.
I know, right? Just like, you know, what's funny, speaking about the more economic troubles that's coming through. After the pipeline John got shut down, Kamala Harris had an to get on TV. It's like, well, we can take those workers and redirect them to West Virginia to find unclaimed landmines.
Yeah. I got one for you before we head out for a night. One final joke. So first thing, black people got Biden elected.
Right.
First thing he does in office when meeting with the black civil rights leaders is tell them to sit down, shut up, because we have illegal immigrants that we got to deal with right now. Signs like 40 executive orders for every single special interest group imaginable, but not black people. And then we get Harriet Tubman bills. It's great. But he's going to wreck the economy. So he puts a black woman icon on a $20 bill. But he's going to wreck the economy and devalue the dollar. Is it safe to say he just devalued a black woman? So Joe Biden embracing his old school racist roots from when he marched with John Wallace. Bruh, that is my partisan joke. My full on partisan joke.
It's not even a partisan joke. It's actually fact. That's the funny part about it. You know, the usurper in chief, he's biting off of what Obama did. Right? You know, Obama came up with the bill, right? And I keep reminding people that Joe Biden can't do nothing about that $20 bill. He can't do nothing about it, right? He's grifting for real. Oh, since I dissed black folk, I'm going to say, oh, we're going to bring back the Harriet Tubman bill. Why don't you talk about the two Republican bills that are still stuck in the House to print the Harriet Tubman bill? Let's talk about that a minute. No one's talking about that, right? People aren't talking about the coinage clause in the Constitution. that gives Congress the authority to print these bills. They're just looking at, oh no, it's a usurper in chief. He's going to do us a favor, put Harriet Tubman on $20 bill. Fool, it was already out there. But your Democrat friends shut the bill down. Why aren't y'all questioning that?
All right. It's before we go, it's Black History Month. And I know the media only talks about black first if they are liberal. So let's name some conservatives real quick. The first 17 congressmen, black congressmen, Republicans. Black history is Republican history during Reconstruction era.
That's
so
correct.
Crispus Attucks, first man to die during the Revolutionary War and Boston Massacre.
Yes.
George Washington Carver, inventions with the peanut. What was it, like 3,000 inventions?
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Yes, it was. So we can talk about General Benjamin Davis Sr., first black general in the Army.
Yep. Yep. We had the Tuskegee
about,
Airmen, the most decorated fighter group in World War II. Hands down.
Let's not forget about Benjamin Banneker either, the architect and chief civil engineer of Washington, D.C. Let's don't forget about him.
Good one. I forgot about that. I'm not gonna lie. What's his name? Pennebaker. That was the first first black neurosurgeon or heart surgeon?
Yes, that is correct.
Yep. Man, a whole bunch of first black heart surgeon. I'm sorry, Daniel Hale Williams. That was my mistake.
Oh, Daniel Hale Williams. Yep. That's right.
That's right. And I am not going to be the one to say Martin Luther King was a Republican. I'm not going to say that because I don't know that for sure. I've seen way too many articles debunking it. I know he happened to be pretty conservative.
He was pretty conservative, but he was
conservative on
thing, if he was ever
conservative
such a
on
thing,
home values.
Right, like he would be a social conservative, right? He was more of a socialist. I would say socialist conservative. Like I know you can't really conflate those, but in his case he was, because he was about the home, he was about church, he was about the family, but his economics was pure socialist,
Oh yeah, that's one thing. Hey, conservatives, do your reading, look up. Y'all love Dr. King. Would you still love him if you read his economic prescriptions for helping the black community? Because the one that you don't like, Malcolm X,
was the right one.
Was fiscally and governmentally conservative. He was all about conservative governance, which is what we should be focusing on in this next round.
That's right.
Let people live how they want to live. Focus on conservative governance.
Amen.
Low taxes. No interference of the state in the daily lives of the individual, law and order, national security, protect borders, equal enfranchisement under the law, conservation of the republic, community action, local community, all politics are local. Those principles. Leave everything else to the community and community action.
That's right.
So I know you got to go. I don't want to hold you longer than you need to be held. So thank you for coming on tonight. Look forward to working together in the future, having you on a couple more times. Most definitely, I'm sure we'll have you back on sometime in the near future. Let's get to work. We got a lot to do between now and the end of the election.
We got a whole lot to do. So
2 years of no sleep.
That's a whole lot of 5-hour energies, coffee, NOS, all that. Stock up, fellas.
Cigars.
It's gonna be a long ride.
Cigars and scotch and a whole lot of dry cleaning too. Not a big fan of wearing suits, but a whole lot of dry cleaning.
That's right. That's right. All right, brother. I appreciate you having me on, man. It's always a treat to talk with you, man. Always.
God bless, man. And I will be listening to the show. Everybody tune in to the Conservative Enclave on Speaker. Don't miss an episode. All right, it is definitely worth the look and worth the listen. All right. Do you want to plug anything else before we go?
No, the only other thing I want to plug is thunderstrike.org. It's a nonprofit organization that's attached to BPMG. And I'm actually, me personally, and I'm assembling a team now, but I'm actually going out state to state, municipality to municipality, and I'm actually talking to candidates that want to run for office or don't know if they're sure they want to run for office. And I'm going out helping boost these people up. I'm also going out helping identify candidates in these different districts or mayoralships, what have you, to primary all of these people that have not been held accountable.
Yeah.
So you can check me out, thunderstrike.org. All the information is there. If you care to chip in a dime or two, that's fine too. This weekend I'm going to be in Indianapolis for a two-day conference. The first conference on Friday is going to be about 60 people. Second conference is going to be about 112 people from around the state of Indiana and neighboring state Illinois we'll be talking to. So I appreciate it, brother.
All right, everyone, you have episode 20 of the Blue Collar Intellectual Podcast. We had a great conversation tonight with my guest, Roderick Threats, founder of Black Patriot Media Group and Pluvius Journal and Thunderstrike, thunderstrike.org. All right, everyone, have a good night. God bless. And I'm going to leave you with a little bit of Going Out Music, Chess by Papoose.
And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play my opponent. If he likes to attack, I force him to defend himself. If he's a cautious man, I draw him into dangerous water. See, you get so frustrated playing defensive positions, you make stupid moves you never make if you were thinking. When you come here, boy, check that shit at the door,
I'm at the top of my game, cut the check. Somebody better king me, I'm the best. Let's play a game of checkers. Better yet, the game don't love nobody. Let's play chess.